Fanatec shocked everyone when they removed the McLaren wheel from the market, and then they revived it, brought it back with another name, the CSL GT3 wheel. Here it is, sent by Fanatec for review. I have an affiliate link with them, and as always, there's no interference in the review process. I'm not going to pretend that this is any different from the McLaren GT3 wheel, so let's have this video be more like a retrospect in a comparison to whatever is on the market. The McLaren GT3 wheel was one of Fanatec's most popular wheels for years since its very inception, going through two versions. As Fanatec didn't keep the license and had the BMW and also Porsche license, it was just kinda natural, we just had to wait until this wheel was basically discontinued. What was surprising is that they actually brought it back pretty much the same thing, except for a few very irrelevant differences, because everything else is exactly the same. Also, what didn't change was the price. It continues to be the same at 199 euros and $219. It comes included with the QR2 Lite, capable of going up to 25 Newton meters with it. Opening the box still continues to tease you, but leaves many questions to be answered. So what happens? Do I crash into T1? Do I destroy my car into Radion? So answer me. Spec-wise, it's also the same wheel. It is Xbox compatible. It is compatible with the PlayStation if you have a PlayStation compatible wheelbase. 9 buttons, one funky 7-way switch, two 12-way position switches that can be changed into absolutes or up and down, one switch that controls what the clutches do, and two 2-way nipple switches. Don't really question me on this, don't even at me. And the most controversial part of the wheel is the push-pull shifters. I never had issues with these shifters, but some people really do not like it. And also at the front of the wheel, there's the button to control all the settings on the fly. The biggest change though is the lack of stickers inside the box. It is incredible what shrinkflation continues to do. Also, there's a colorway change from the oranges that we saw in the past, and the shifters are also going from the oranges into the black. The print is also different, but I can say it feels a much lower resolution than before. Once again, this is the same wheel as before. I'm not going to say it is otherwise. In my opinion, I still prefer the McLaren look, but that's the only thing that changes. So I'm going to have this review more like a long-term use. Even though it's not the same wheel, I can give you my experiences using the McLaren wheel for 2 years so you understand what is going on and if this wheel suits you or not. Let's have a quick look at the software. There are a couple of options for your multi-position switches, the yellow ones at the top. So you have either encoder, which will be up and down. Sadly, you cannot change this per side. And then you have constant and pulse. Constant and pulse are generally the same thing, but some games will have issues with constant. So you do pulse. And what this does is give you 12 inputs per side. So for example, if you want to go to a car and always have a car in TC1 and TC2, say 5 and 6, you can leave it in 5, and then you can leave it in 6 in the other side, and it never moves. And then for the clutches, you have clutch bite point, you also have clutch and handbrake. So that means for those of you who have mobility issues, you can also use this as a brake and a throttle. So if you can't use your feet, this could be very, very useful. I'm going to give you my experience with the McLaren wheel, which will be exactly the same as the CSL because honestly, it is, once again, the same wheel. In my opinion, this is still a very relevant wheel for those of you who are in the lower end part of the Fanatec ecosystem and you want something that actually works and actually has pretty much a bunch of functions that you can use, and you can use it in Formula and you can use it especially with GTs. First of all, in terms of quick releases, the QR2 Lite is decent, but the regular QR2s are better. I can tell you there's a difference between quality control between each unit of QR2 lights because I've used the QR2 Lite in the McLaren back in the day when it came out, and it had less side-by-side movement, and even the Porsche wheel vision that I have here has a little bit less side-by-side movement. It is not much, but it is a little bit noticeable. It's nowhere near what it was with the QR1, but it's something to notice. When this goes into the regular QR2, if for its weight and its built, it's actually quite a sturdy wheel, and it has also significant advantages, especially if you use it with QR2 Lite. The first of one is this wheel is extremely, extremely light. It is roughly 200 to 300 grams lighter than, for example, the GT Neo or the Concept 300 GT or the Mazda KS. The Mazda KS is 1,300 grams, if I'm not mistaken. I'll do because of the quick release. It's a little more heavier on Mazda's side. And that is actually felt, not in terms of force, but in terms of vibrations, because this is less dampened. And you do feel it. That I had that feeling when I went from the FPV2 into this. You can really feel that there is a difference in the quality of the force feedback. I must say that the quality of force feedback feels a little sharper when you're using a lighter wheel. This will be independent if you're using a Fanatec or using another wheel in another system that will have the same type of weight. It's exactly the same thing. In terms of rigidity, I never had an issue with rigidity with this wheel. It never creaked. It always worked. And for me, the most important part of it is that the ergonomics are actually pretty good. The buttons are good. I like the shifters. I know a lot of people won't like the shifters because they don't like push-pull shifters. If you want to do shifters and you want to do some sort of DIY, Simube sells other shifters, but that will void warranty, of course. I like the button presses. I do like the covered button presses on the P and an N, which is far, far harder than the other buttons. So it's more like a safety button feature. I really like that because it gives you a little bit the different flavor towards this wheel. For the ergonomics of use, it is very, very comfortable to use, and it still is. Everything is on the arc of your thumb. Works fantastic, except the two bottom ones and the funky switch. The funky switch for me is the biggest downside of this because it's really on the bottom and you do need to move your hand in order to access to it. I wish that the buttons had a different layout, but it works generally. Once you know what you're doing, it's really not that difficult to remove one hand and engage it. You just need to know where to use it. For 2 years, I used this wheel and I have never really felt the need to actually change it. I had other ones for review. The other ones are definitely better. But I only really changed it because I got these for review. Otherwise, I would keep with the McLaren wheel because it is definitely very, very useful. Useful on a PC, useful on a PlayStation. I use this a lot in Gran Turismo 7 with no problems whatsoever. Though the button caps are for Xbox, and you'll figure it out anyways. I did. If I can do it, you can also do it. And this CSL GT3 will not change a iota out of it. It will continue to be one of those wheels that you're going to buy if you are on the lower end, and it will carry you for as long as you need to because it does everything right. But of course, there are natural comparisons to something like, once again, the 300 GT or the C-Magic Neo, or even the CSL Vision, Elite Vision, that Fanatec released this year. And I must say that in terms of quality, every single one of them will be better, except for me, the Mazda KS. I never really liked that wheel. It's a decent wheel, but I never really like it. The Porsche Vision GT is much better constructed than this, but it's a larger wheel. The C-Magic Neo will need an adaptation in towards the Fanatec, so will be the 300 GT as well. They will be heavier wheels, but they will have more functions, but they won't be compatible natively with the PlayStation. This will be definitely cheaper. It will be about 80 euros cheaper than the C-Magic Neo, maybe even more than that, and even the KS. So for those of you who are starting with Fanatec ecosystem and you want to buy a ready-to-race, or you bought a ready-to-race bundle and you need a GT3 wheel, well, the McLaren wheel, the CSL GT3 wheel will actually suit you because it is a wheel that does everything correctly at the right price point. And oftentimes in sim racing, actually most times in sim racing, it's really not the case that there are really bad products. It's that the products are too expensive. This one is correctly priced. But I want to hear from you, the Fanatec McLaren GT3 owners. Let me know what was your experiences with it and if your experiences matches mine. Thank you so much.